Good morning to Joe Rose.
Good morning.
He is the principal at Desert Rose Tax, 22nd, just east of Craycroft.
Correct.
Now, you have your own freestanding building.
Correct.
It has a beautiful Desert Rose on a round, elevated sign. What was that building beforehand? Because it sure looks like is it a Long John Silver's? what was that building?
Well, when I bought it, it was a dental office.
A dental office.
But I've been told through the years that it was also a veterinarian clinic at one time, and that it was a series of various restaurants.
Okay.
My wife, who swears that originally it was the Wiener King back in the 70s.
Wow.
But I don't know for sure.
Now, it's funny, we just had Rita Conley on, who wrote a book called The Lost Restaurants of Tucson, which are all these old classic restaurants that are no longer open anymore. We'll have to see if the Wiener King
is one of them.
Made the book.
There you go.
So it's a freestanding building, south side of 22nd, just east of Craycroft, if you want to stop by. The lovely Diane is at the front desk waiting to help you.
Absolutely.
How long has she worked with you?
She has been with me since the beginning.
Wow.
Yes.
She knows how to handle it.
She does.
She's got it down to a science. If people want to get what's the phone number for Desert Rose?
747-4964.
And DesertRoseTax.com?
Correct.
Now, being that this is the first show of the year for us, I assume we're talking about we got tax day coming up in less than 3.5 months.
Yes. Well, and one of the things we wanted to talk about today is it's already after the end of the year, so is there anything you can still do after the end of the year that might reduce your taxes?
Okay, so we're going to do that, and then what needs to happen over the next 100 days or less? Earlier the better, as we say.
The earlier the better for individuals.
Right.
The individuals can they can still take advantage of all the state tax, well, not all of the state tax credits, but the school tax credits for the private school as well as the public school, which is new this year. It used to be that the public school had to be done by year end.
Right.
But now the legislature has extended it to the due date of the return, which is April 15th. So you can literally do your tax return, see if you can benefit from doing the credit, and do it that day and take it on your 2015 tax return.
Which I thought, because I think everyone got so trained, and we only did zillions of interviews on Wake Up about the tax credits for working poor and things like that, and it was so important to make sure that was received by these folks before the end of the year.
Correct.
So you're saying there's a couple of, between the public and the private school?
For the school credits, you can still do them up until the due date of the return.
Okay. When we come back, Joe will fill you in on some of the federal stuff that you can also do. And then we have a whole bunch of stuff that we want to talk about with health care credits. I just got in my mail from my health insurer that even though they have all of my information, they now want all of my Social Security number and who's covered by my health insurance and things like that.
And they don't already have that?
So we'll talk. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff where, remember, when it comes to any legal financial transaction, like you paying your taxes, you don't want to leave any money on the table.
Absolutely.
So that's what Joe and his team at Desert Rose is we're trying to help you not leave so much money on the table this
time. Absolutely.
All right, let's go pay bills. Joe Rose, Chris DeSimone, Ed Alexander. You're on the DeSimone Daily Double Show. McCluskey's coming up in 45 minutes, renewed for 2016. Good job, Sean. Call the tax and accounting specialist, Desert Rose Tax and Accounting, 747-4964. We can help with your individual or small business tax strategies, planning, and tax preparation. Call Desert Rose Tax and Accounting today, 747-4964, or DesertRoseTax.com. Don't get slammed by the IRS. Call Desert Rose Tax and Accounting for all your individual and small business tax strategies, planning, and tax preparation needs. Desert Rose Tax and Accounting, 747-4964, or DesertRoseTax.com. Hey, welcome back to the show. 8:18 in the morning. Chris DeSimone, Ed Alexander, Joe Rose from Desert Rose. 790-2040 is the phone number. If you have any questions for Joe, he will give you as best as he can over a telephone call. And you can call and set up a cup of coffee with Joe, 747-4964. Check him out at desertroadstax.com. I'm going to stick with this Wiener King story. He is occupying the former Wiener King building on 22nd near Craycroft.
You verified that building.
We're going to find this out. This is going to be like an archaeological exploration. Here, I'm going to get the U of A.
I'd be interested in that. I'll just change the name of my business to the Wiener King Tax.
Whatever gets them through the door, Joe. So we're just talking about the things that you could still get done even though we're in the new year. You already said that on the state level, you could still make your contributions for the public or private school credit.
Correct.
And now on the federal side.
On the federal side, you still have a few options to take advantage of. One is, of course, most of you already know you can make your IRA contribution by the due date of the return for last year, and that will reduce your tax liability for this year. You can also take advantage of HSA, which is a health savings account.
We still have those.
We still have those.
They haven't been obliterated.
You need a high deductible medical plan, but to take advantage of them. But you can put in a married couple, a family can put in up to $6,650, and an individual can do $3,350.
So one of the things is that high deductible policies aren't as available as they used to be.
Well, you can open one up at most banks.
No, I'm not talking about HSAs. I'm talking about the high deductible policy.
The insurance plans, yes. They're not because of Obamacare, but they are still out there, and that is a nice way to get a dollar-for-dollar reduction in your taxable income by taking advantage of these, just like with the IRA contribution. And there again, you can do that up until the due date of the return.
Now, you said this year there's a new piece of paper for your taxes for Obamacare?
Absolutely. I've been talking about this for a while, but expect to receive, everybody that has health insurance should expect to receive this year for their tax return a 1095 form. There's a series of them. The 1095A comes from the healthcare exchange. The 1095B comes from your insurance company, and the 1095C comes from large employers that have over 50 employees, like Raytheon, U of A, people like that. So
sure.
You may actually get multiple 1095s depending upon where you work.
My head hurts, Joe.
And you do need these documents to properly fill out your tax form this year.
Now, in relation to the healthcare stuff, is there anything that I can do with my taxes to make the pain less?
Well, as a reminder to those of you that are getting your healthcare through the exchange, you need to make sure, if you're doing it yourself, you calculate it properly. If not, make sure that your preparer is calculating it properly. But you may qualify for healthcare credits if you are not receiving or the proper premium assistance through the exchange. You can get it as an additional refund on your return.
So one thing I do listen when you tell me things. All right, you were saying that if you do some sort of life-changing event,
yes,
in the middle that happened during that tax year,
yes,
especially be very wary if you had somehow you had a windfall of money, of income, you got a raise or a promotion that jacked up your income a little decent notch. Mm-hmm. Those exchange credits that you would have gotten are now they kind of go away from that time on.
They could, or be reduced in some way, in which case if you don't notify the exchange when that happens, then you may end up paying those that assistance back.
So is that something where you think can it happen that you think you're getting a return of $3,000 and then the check comes it's $1,900 because they figured that out, or do you have to pay that separately?
Well, you calculate that on your tax form.
Let's say you didn't.
Well, then they will catch you and send you a letter about it.
Are there penalties at that point?
Usually, if you correct it right away, there's no penalties or interest. But if you ignore the letter, then of course they're going to tack on all kinds of stuff.
Gotcha. All right. If I keep talking about healthcare, I'll be depressed. So, now you talk about IRA contributions. We know that. What are our limits right now? I haven't talked about it. What's the updated limits on your IRA contributions?
Gosh, you caught me off guard.
Okay.
It's either $5,000 or $6,000. I'm not positive.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
Okay. 790-2040 is the phone number. Let's go to Chuck on line 2. Chuck, you're on with Joe Rose from Desert Rose. What's up?
Good morning, Mr. Rose. I have a question about, I do my taxes the old-fashioned way. I sit down at the kitchen table with the paper and forms and
yell at your wife and...
No, I don't do that. Anyway, it's very difficult for me to get the actual tax forms anymore. I can't get them. I mean, the only way I can get them, basically, is, through the computer, and I'm computer illiterate, so my wife has to go on there, and then I've got to read all that junk, instead of just having the paper copy. Is there any way I can get, like, the 1040s and the instructions?
You can request the papers be sent to you from the IRS, but you may have to be on hold for 4 hours before you speak to anybody.
Why do they make it so difficult? They used to send all that stuff.
Well, I think that they're trying to push people like you to use software or a professional. That they don't want anybody doing it by hand anymore, I guess.
I guess so. And I did that last year, and there's some publications you can't even get. They won't even send them to you, like Pub 17.
But you can read those online. I mean, you can download them as a PDF onto your computer, but like you said, you're not computer literate, so it does make it very difficult.
Yeah.
Chuck, it's kind of the fact that, in the end, what they want is they want everyone to file electronically. That's, in the end, is where they're pushing everyone, because that's the easiest. It's the mother computer. Everything gets ran through there, and they can logarithm themselves till they're blind.
Yes.
All right. So.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Sure.
Chuck, guys like you with your pencil filling out your tax stuff, they can't stand guys like people who are doing that.
Well, I know tax professionals that still do these returns by hand with pencil.
Is there any? Do they have an ulterior motive?
No, they just don't want to learn the computer.
790-2040 is the phone number. I used to have a baseball coach, Little League coach. Tom Breslin, great guy, and he was a CPA. And he always, and you could tell he used to handwrite our baseball schedule on a blank piece of paper, but because he always wrote in little squares, he was always still writing in little squares. So even on a big piece of paper, his number 2 never got bigger than like a half a centimeter, because that's how he had to fill in little boxes. So it never goes away from you, as they say. Let's go to Ingrid. 790-2040 is the number she called. Ingrid, good morning. You're on with Joe Rose. What's up?
Good morning. I have a number for that gentleman. It was given to me by a representative of the IRS, who I had to wait for a very long time, and I was told that this is a very quick number to get through to, or I guess it was a woman I was speaking to. It's 800, my phone here, 1-800-829-3676. That's not the number that I used. But I was told this number, so it's 1-800-829-3676.
This is the back line to the IRS? Is that what you're telling me?
I guess that's what you would call it.
Well, then that's a good number to know.
Yeah, so, anybody who's listening, write it down and tell your friends. And I've had pretty good luck with the IRS getting forms and stuff for myself and for organizations. So they're a pretty good crowd. They do their best.
800-829-3676. We're going to call up the Ingrid's IRS backline.
Okay.
So
thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Ingrid. Have a happy New Year. 790-2040 is the phone number. Let's go to Barney on line 4. Barney, you're on with Chris and Joe Rose. What's up, buddy?
Good morning. I wanted to give you a little info on IRA contributions.
Yes, sir.
They are $5,500 for 2015 and 2016, and you can still put in for 2015 as long as you haven't filed anytime up to April 15th. And then if you have an HSA, health savings account, the numbers right now are for 2015 $64.50, and for 2016 $65.50. But the kicker is, for each of those four categories, if you are, I think it's 55 and older, or maybe 50, you're allowed to add $1,000, what they call catch-up. So it increases the limits of all four by $1,000.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you for the update.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Barney.
that.
Thank you, sir. 790-2040 is the phone number. Let's go to Jim on line 2. Jim, you're on with Joe Rose from Desert Rose Tax. What's up?
Okay, thanks, guys. I have a solar tax question. We installed a solar system for electricity this past March. I was wondering about that credit. Is it both federal and state, and how much is it?
Well, the federal credit is up to 30% of the cost, with the maximum, I want to say, at $8,000, but I'd have to look that up. And
Okay.
the state is $1,000. But with the federal credit, I believe it is not a refundable credit, which means that it can only be used to offset your tax and then carry forward until it's used up.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
if you don't have a big enough tax liability this year, you won't
Right.
get the full amount this year, but you're not going to lose it. It'll just go forward.
Carry forward. Now, what is it? There's some forms that you fill out for that, or does the solar company send you
No, there's some additional forms that you'll need to get from the IRS to fill that out.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Sure.
Thank you, Jim. 790-2040 is the phone number. If you want to set up a meeting with Joe and get all the answers face-to-face and have him help you with your stuff, 747-4964, DesertRoseTax.com. Let's get one more phone call in before we go to the break. Bill number 2, you're on Joe Rose. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, guys. Hey, when you were talking about pencils and erasers, I started laughing because many years ago, back in the 80s, I started working on computers, doing things. My accountant was, still old school and did everything, the old-fashioned way, pencils and erasers and stuff. And one day, I turned on the computer and I had no data. It was all gone. And I'm just lost. So I called him. I said, well, what do I do? And he goes, I don't know. He says, in my business, we use erasers. And I never, ever forgot that. I mean, it was just devastating. I had to go back and resurrect all his stuff. I didn't have a backup. But, I don't know. In my business, we use pencils and erasers.
I like that.
Well, I think that nowadays we rely too much on technology.
Yeah, well, it's wild. So it just made me laugh. Thanks, guys.
Bill, thanks. Have a happy New Year, sir. 790-2040 is the phone number. My wife used to do a long time ago, she did Mac support for QuickBooks at Intuit, all right? And what happened was, clearly the question coming from the person is an accounting question, not a software program. And so she said, ma'am, this is a tax question. You need to consult with your company's tax professional. And the answer came back, I am the tax professional.
That's worrisome.
And at that point she said, you know something? I'm sorry I can't help you right now.
That's why we have Google.
Check them out at 747-4964. Diane will pick up. She'll set up a cup of coffee with you and Joe, DesertRoseTax.com. This is your time. This is why Joe's here. First couple of days of the year, there are things that you need to do and things that you need to know so you do not leave extra dollars on the table. Especially now that we know that, your Obamacare premiums are now your second mortgage payment. As much money as you can save legally to do your taxes will hopefully defray your second mortgage payment. Wake up, Tucson, 1030 The Voice. Now, we know Boston's ready, but are you ready? That's what we want to know.
Ready, Tucson.
Are you ready for April 15th? Or March 15th if you're a corporation, right? Joe Rose? March 15th for a corporation?
Correct. And next year, it'll also be March 15th for LLCs and partnerships.
Hi, Chihuahua.
Yes.
Why did they do that?
Well, it stands to reason because you need to file these entity returns before you file the personal returns, but it makes it hard for tax professionals like myself because now we got to squeeze in more work in the first 2 months of the year instead of being able to spread it out just a little bit. They should have just extended the personal deadline to May 15th or something.
They want their money, buddy.
Yeah.
They want their money. It's kind of like people say, why is there at 70.5 in my IRA, they forced me to start spending it?
Yes.
What do they care? Well, they want their taxes off of it. That's why.
Yeah, they've been waiting for it all this time. So
they just can't wait for your estate taxes if that's appropriate for your amount of money. All right, so let's get to businesses right now in relation to what they need to worry about before, again, March 15th. Let's just use that as the mental date for most of these people. So what do you got for small business out there, buddy?
Well, for small business, it's the only thing that can be still done after the end of the year is for a SEP contribution, which is a simplified employee pension contribution, which is a retirement plan set up by a lot of small businesses. And you have until the filing date of the tax return, the business tax return for that. But the other things I wanted to talk about are things that a lot of tax professionals may or may not be aware of to take advantage of for small businesses that you as a business owner need to be proactive in making sure that your tax professional, or if you do it yourself, then you take advantage of to make sure that if you qualify for these credits or deductions that you do them. And one is the tip credit, which we've talked about before on here. If you own a restaurant or a bar with tipped employees, then you can get a credit for the Social Security and Medicare tax part of it that you pay on those employees. And that could be thousands of dollars. And depending upon the size of the restaurant, it could be tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And another one is the Empowerment Zone credit, which is a special credit if your business is located in an empowerment zone, which Tucson does have an empowerment zone, and your employees that live in the empowerment zone, you can get a credit of up to $3,000 per eligible employee.
I went to the it's the HUD website, but it's the Federal Empowerment Zone for Tucson map.
Yes.
Does that look
yes,
appropriate?
And the HUD site does have a little place where you can enter in your address to see whether or not you are, in fact, located in the empowerment zone. Because as you can see from the map, Chris, there's little tails and pieces all over the place that may qualify.
Now, what if do you get extra tax credits if your business is in the empowerment zone?
Yes. Your business has to be in the empowerment zone as well.
All right, so your business is in the empowerment, and then, so basically those two things have to happen to get the tax credits?
Correct.
The employee needs to live in the empowerment zone, and your business needs to be in the empowerment zone.
Right, and a lot of businesses hire from the neighborhood for some of their positions.
So I'm going to just ballpark this, just so people, if you're anywhere near what I tell you right now, you need to take a look at this.
Yes.
I would say anything that's north of Valencia, okay, that probably goes almost pretty much out to the base is what I would say, all right? And it goes basically north through South Tucson, a good heart of the city, along Interstate 10 probably up to Prince or even maybe Orange Grove. And it actually kind of keeps going up Oracle Road into like probably Tucson Mall area is what I'd say. So any of you, if your business is there and you have employees that live there, this is you could be leaving a lot of money. Now the other one looks like, what is that? Is that Williams Center? Is it somewhere over? There's something out east.
Yeah.
There's another one. There's another one by the airport. It looks like, and then there's another one out on I-10, which could be maybe out by
Vail area, or
either
something.
Vail, or I'm thinking where that all that industrial is by Rita Ranch. You know, basically like where the Target fulfillment center is.
Right.
And over there. So if you have any businesses anywhere near there, if you think you have any of the employees, and like he said, you can go to the HUD portal go to portal.hud.gov, and you can put in employees' their addresses.
Well,
off
do
their
your
payroll.
business address first to make sure that you're in the empowerment zone.
You are correct, and then you can start putting in those. So how much is it? A percentage? Is it a
It's
flat?
up to $3,000 per qualified employee.
That's money, dude.
So that's a lot of money. Yes.
I mean, 10 employees, you're talking $30,000 that you could. Now this is basically off. You could take off your taxable income, basically.
No, this is off the tax. This is a tax credit.
Oh, so this is huge.
Yes.
I don't hear a lot of business owners even talking about whether or not they're in the federal. I always hear it when we talk economic development in this town, because that's part of the.
Yeah, that's one
part
of
of
the
the pitch.
incentives. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, but if you're already there, when you always say, why does Tucson only do things for people who, why is there benefits only for people who want to move here? What if I've been the long-suffering
And this
business
is one
owner?
of those things that can benefit you.
So check it out. Go to portal.hud.gov to find out if your business is there, and then if you are, then pray that some of your employees live in there.
And I just want to throw out there that if you find that you are in the empowerment zone and you've never taken this credit, you can always go back and amend the last 3 years' taxes. So, but you only have until April 15th to do that third year. Otherwise, that goes by the wayside. So you can still amend the 14, 13, and 12 up until April 15th.
So think about that. If we did the 10 employee thing
That's
example, that you're in the
$120,000. Yeah.
That's a lot of dough. So this is why we have guys like Joe Rose on the show to, again, that you're not leaving that much money on the table. And this is kind of be a windfall if you.
And the tip credit too that we just mentioned can also be my neighbor who has owned a restaurant for many years, and I asked him if he had been taking that credit. And he says, "Oh no, I'm sure I am because my accountant used to work for the IRS and blah blah blah." Well, it turns out his accountant didn't know about it, and went back and amended 3 years worth of returns for him, and got him back about $48,000 in tax.
So what's the incentive for the IRS to even offer this tip, or why was the tip credit put in place in the first place?
Well, it was to encourage employment. Is what it is.
Or reporting.
And reporting. But of course that the other tipped employees industries have a problem with it because they're not offered the same benefit.
Okay.
Such as, hairdressers or taxi drivers or, valets or anybody like that works on tips.
Or radio producers.
Or But I asked my friend, I said, well, that sounds great. He says, yeah, but I don't know whether I should be happy because I got the $48,000 or ticked off because I've been in business for 14 years and think about all the money I've left on the table all those years.
Yeah, it could be at least another 100 G's.
Yes.
So again, stop paying money you don't need to. Let's just say that. If you don't have a guy if you're not really an expert of this, you need an expert like Joe, who hopefully you guys work together and he knows these things, that you save a few bucks.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go pay bills. 8:46 in the morning. You got one more segment of asking Joe any kind of questions you have in relation to getting ready for your tax season. 790-2040 is the phone number to get in on this show. I'm going to ask Joe a question about when you organize all of your receipts, what's the best way to do it to keep your tax preparer from going insane? So we're going to talk about that because, I am the ultimate rat nest kind of guy. So if you want to set up a cup of coffee with this young man, 747-4964, DesertRoseTax.com. Sean McCluskey's coming up next. 20 minutes. Award-winning Talk of the Town coming up next. .50 in the morning. You are on the DeSimone Daily Double Show, 790-2040. One more segment with Mr. Joe Rose, DesertRoseTax.com. I've got to definitely text Rita Connolly. We're going to find out this Wiener King story. This is going to be big. This is like Raiders of the Lost Ark for me now. I'm going to find out at this building of yours. He's on the south side of 22nd, east of Craycroft, freestanding building. Just look for. He's made it nice and easy for you. There's a giant rose on the sign. So if you can't find the big rose,
Desert Rose.
The giant desert rose. Sorry, we already talked about the desert rose.
People think I'm a florist.
And tomorrow on Wake Up, Congressman Dave Schweikert with his weekly call. And then we have Supervisor Allie Miller of the Power Hour. We'll find out how Chuck is going to threaten her or something like that, with some other stuff. Joe Rose, what else do we got to get to? I was going to ask you the question. So when everyone gives you all their, if it's like a small business and they have their utility bills, how do you want that all? What's the best way to present their rat nest of crap?
The easiest way for any tax professional is if you have each category totaled for the year.
Okay.
As opposed to just giving a big box of receipts that we have to sort through and categorize for you.
All right. So you do basically put all the bills in a Ziploc bag or staple them, and then put something on the front that says total water utility $800.
Correct.
Okay.
Because I don't need to see the actual documents unless I think that the deduction you're claiming is unreasonable, or if I need to do some due diligence to find out what exactly it's made of. But you need the original documents for any type of tax audit, yes.
Okay. What are the things that people need to do to get ready for a March 15th or an April 15th? March 15th for corporations and April 15th for personal. What are the things that they need to get done?
One of the things we didn't get to in the last segment that I did want to touch on was that there is a domestic production activity deduction that is often overlooked.
Say that one more time.
Domestic production activity deduction.
Okay.
It's mainly for manufacturers, but what a lot of people don't understand is that in that category it includes things like trade contractors, like plumbers, electricians, things like that, as well as architects. And a lot of these individuals are not taking this deduction on their taxes, and it could be a nice deduction for you. It's not a tax credit; it's a tax deduction.
So what are we deducting?
We are deducting the cost of the part of the production costs to produce things.
Okay.
Here in America.
Okay.
So it's to stimulate, I guess, American growth.
So what kind of what's the percentage? What I assume there's different categories. How does
you do have to have positive income.
Okay.
In your business. So if you're at a loss, you're not going to get the deduction, and you do have to pay wages. So if you're a one-man show not paying any wages, you're not going to get the deduction, but it could be a sizable deduction. I've seen them all over the board, and I don't know percentage-wise off the top of my head what I can throw out there, but it could be thousands of dollars worth of deductions off your bottom line.
So what kind of occupations, again, one more time, do they decide that it kind of fall?
Any manufacturing company,
right?
Any construction company,
okay.
A lot of trade contractors and architects.
Okay.
So those are the occupations that need to be or businesses.
I have never heard of that one before.
It's been around a while. I think it was part of the Bush era.
Okay.
Tax stuff.
Now, how about anything else you want to cover in relation to things you want to get real quick? Because we only got a couple more minutes ago.
Well, I just want to encourage every one of the listeners out there to start now talking to people, your tax professional. As you're doing your taxes this year, if you use a tax professional, start talking about tax planning for 2016. Don't wait until the last minute. I know nobody wants to think about taxes except during tax season, so take full advantage of this, because a lot of people don't realize that when you pay somebody to prepare your taxes, you're only paying for the preparation. You're not paying for the tax planning.
Right.
So you may need to come in after tax season to continue that dialogue, but I would start that dialogue when you're doing your taxes this year.
Well,
and that way you're not behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it's all the things you learn during your return, your return, that you need to do better than, as you move through.
Absolutely. And we have time during tax season to sit down and really delve into everything and help you as much as we would like.
Now, have you ever hired a sign spinner for your for Desert Rose taxes?
No, but we've thought about having something like that.
Because Joe Higgins, of course, this is a tough economy right now.
I was thinking more along the lines, maybe a Statue of Liberty or something.
Oh, I can't believe you. Because Joe has dressed as a Statue of Liberty, he said, so he's using one of my caddies to do Uber, and he's sign spinning right now just to make ends meet, just to pay his Obamacare premium. I mean, it's crazy. Joe Rose, thanks for all that you do. Check him out. Give him a call. If you don't have a tax preparer right now and you need the help of a professional, 747-4964. I assume the office is 8 to 5 on the hours of the office?
During tax season, we do have extended hours. We go a little later and till about 7, and we do work on the weekends. So,
working on the weekends.
Yes.
That's all right. That's what you got to do.
You got to make hay while the sun shines.
You are correct. DesertRoseTax.com, 747-4964. All right, sir. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Let me know about the Wiener King thing.
I am gonna email Rita Conley, Lost Restaurants of Tucson. I'll give her pitch one more time. You can buy it at Antigone Books, Mostly Books, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, of course. And she is doing a book signing at the Barnes & Noble at Foothills Mall this Saturday from 1 to 3. So, we're thinking Joe's building. Your wife said she thinks it used to be a Wiener King.
She's almost positive, she said.
Okay.
So
we're gonna find this out. Hopefully there might be a call coming up that's gonna help us find out if this is Wiener King or not. So just remember, real quick again, I've gotten a couple of texts about Rocky Point. There are some seats open for the Rocky Point for Martin Luther King Day weekend, which would leave a week from this Friday. 622-8811, GraylineArizona.com. And if you want to go on the February one, you got to move quick because we're going to sell out a second bus. We were literally going to do 2 sold-out motor coaches from Gray Line down to Mexico on Friday, I think it's the 12th of February. Do we have Actually, we're running out of time. So everyone, thanks for doing what you're doing. We'll see you tomorrow. Joe Rose, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
747-4964, DesertRoseTax.com.